November 2017 Intermediate Tier Unit 2 Calculator Allowed paper. Okay, question 1. It says raspberries cost £3.60 per kilograms. Pears cost £2.60 per kilogram. Reese buys some raspberries and some pears. He weighs the fruit. The raspberries cost him £4.50. Calculate the mass of the raspberries he buys. Okay, so raspberries cost £3.60 per kilogram. He pays £4.50 for raspberries. So we need to work out what that cost is. So we know that 1 kilogram is equal to £3.60. And we know he paid £4.50. What we don't know is how many kilograms that was. Well, what I want to do is a calculation to work out how many times that goes into 450. So if I do £4.50 divided by £3.60, that tells me I multiplied it by 1.25. Whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. So that must be 1.25 kilograms of raspberries. The next part says, in this part of the question, you will be assessed on the quality of your organisation, communication, accuracy in your writing. So it's important that we explain any steps of our solution. It says, he finds that the mass of the pears is 3 times the mass of the raspberries. So I think this is related then, isn't it? So 1.25 kilograms of raspberries that he bought is then multiplied by 3. How much change does Reese get from £20 when buying the raspberries and the pears? You must show all your workings. So I'm going to start off by saying I found out in part A he bought 1.25 kilograms of raspberries, which costs, how much costs them? £4.50. Okay, so from there, the weight of the pears, weight of pears would be 3 multiplied 1.25 kilograms, which is 3.75 kilograms. Pears. Now, when you're talking about the quality of your organisation and communication, doing the signs and the symbols is really important. Don't forget to do those because it can be worth a mark. So I want to do 3.75 kilograms times by, we know that pears cost £2.60 per kilogram, so I need to do that times by £2.60. I don't obviously use the symbols in my calculator, but I've written them as solutions, or in my solution. So 3.75, get the kilograms, times by £2.60, so times by 2.60, comes to £9.75. So the total cost would be equal to £4.50, add the £9.75. So again, just stating what your calculations are. Anything you put into your calculator, make sure you show them where it's come from. So for instance, my answer now, £14.25, I can see where it's come from. That should happen in any question regardless, but really, really, really important here. And we are asked how much change will he get from 20 quid. So to work that out, I'm going to take away that from 20 quid. And again, I'm just going to show my workings of change would be £20, take away the £14.25, which comes to £5.75. No need to round my answer 2 decimal places, it's already been done because it came to 2 decimal places. Okay, over the page, a bit of a fussy one, a 4-way Venn diagram, so it's important we read the question, work out what on earth is going on. It says the head teacher from Ysgol Maes Newydd gave option forms to all Year 9 pupils. The form asked which foreign languages the pupils would like to study in Year 10. There were 4 languages listed on the form: French, German, Spanish, and Mandarin, which is for Chinese. The pupils could select as many of the languages as they wished. All pupils completed and returned the option form. So we've got all of these numbers in here. It says how many pupils did not select at least one of the 4 languages. So at least one of the 4 languages would be everything outside here, because these are my 4 languages, and we're told here that it's no people. So my answer would be 0. How many pupils were there in year 9? Well, to do that, I need to add together all of those numbers. So make sure you don't count them twice. So I'm going to work from the bottom to the top. So 14, add 7, add 1, add 27, add nothing. So I'll just leave that blank. Add 5, add 3, add 8. Now add 7, add 22, add 2. So I make that 96. How many people selected only one language? Okay, well, 7 people selected only Mandarin. They weren't in the German circle, the French circle, or the Spanish circle, and here would have been selecting, so these 3 people selected Mandarin because it's in the Mandarin circle, and German, and French. Okay, and because all 4 circles don't overlap, no one said all 4 languages. So 7 people in Mandarin, 14 in German, 1 in French, 2 in only Spanish. So to work that out, just add those together. So 14 add 7, which is 21. Add the 1 is 22. Add the 2 is 24. Okay. Part D, which was the most popular language selected? You must show all your working. Okay. So to work that out, the most popular language, I'm going to work out how much each of them were selected, at least one. How many of them were selected for each subject. So Spanish. So in the Spanish circle, we've got 22 there. You can just about see, I'll move it over so you can see. So 22 there. 2 who chose only Spanish. This 22 chose Spanish and Mandarin. No people who chose Spanish, Mandarin and French. I'm going to ignore those. And then 27 here. So that equals, not worth doing that in your head in case you get it wrong, 22 plus 2 plus 27 is 51. And then I'll complete the same sort of work then for the following subject. So for French, it's going to be 27 plus none plus 5 plus 3 plus 7, which comes to 43. For Mandarin, we've got 22 plus none plus 5 plus 3 plus 8. And then plus the 7. So I can do 16 there, and that is 23, 45. And then finally for German, that's 14 plus 7, so that's 21, plus 3, so 24, plus 8, which is 32. So which is the most popular? Well, Spanish, with 51 people choosing. Okay. I found the next question quite tricky. I didn't think it was obvious. It says the head teacher can only offer 2 out of these 4 languages in year 10. She writes a timetable so that as many as possible of the pupils who choose 2 languages are able to study both languages. Okay, so I think that's where this bit's leading from. So as many pupils studying the 2 languages as possible. Which 2 languages should she choose to offer year 10 students? How many, no, you must show all your working and give a reason. Okay, so looking back at this diagram here, we're looking for an overlap with the biggest amount. So we've got 27 there, 22 there, and then 5 overlapping there. So don't offer French and Mandarin because only 5 people wanted it. 22 and 27 belong to these 2 here, which is Spanish and French. Okay, so it's Spanish and French as more pupils selected both of these. Okay, over the page. Okay, have a quick read of the question. And it says, Lloyd has carried out a survey in his school. He surveyed 300 pupils, so that's going to be important. Below is a section from his questionnaire. What year group are you in? Do you like the colours of the school uniform? What is your favourite colour? Now, as a mathematician, we wouldn't like a questionnaire like that to do the coding of, or to look at collecting the data, because it's what you call qualitative data. It's going to be word, and you have to do a lot of reading of it. You basically want to just have tick boxes. So if they ever ask anything to do with questionnaires or how can we improve questionnaires, it's all to do with getting tick boxes in. So it says, afterwards Lloyd thinks he should have given option boxes in question 1 or 2, so there you go, it's him saying that himself. What could these options have been? So it would have been something like this, wouldn't it? It would have been year 7, tick box, year 8, year 9, year 10, year 11, and then 6th form. Okay, we'll try and leave a bit more space than I did, okay? Question 2, do you like the colours of the school uniform? So then the tick boxes would have been yes, no, and then sort of like not really interested, or no preference, I suppose is a posh way to say that. No preference, you're not really bothered by the colours of the school uniform. It then says part B, a pie chart displaying the results from question 3 is shown below. So black, red, blue, yellow, other. So they're the favourite colours, aren't they? Yes, what is your favourite colour? These are my favourite colours. Which colour was chosen by 75 pupils as their favourite colour? Well, 75 pupils, so 300 as we know from before. So the 75 out of 300 will tell us a fraction of that pie chart. So to work that out, well, I was going to show you how to do it. You could divide top and bottom by 3, but even easier, because this was a calculator paper, you could just do 75 divided by 300. If you can write it into your calculator, which I can't, is a quarter. So we're looking for a quarter of the colours. So a quarter would be that. That's a quarter of the circle, isn't it? So that is black. It then says, what fraction of the pupils said that blue was their favourite colour? Give your answer in simplest form. So there's the blue one. You'll need to have an angle measure to measure that angle. So 0 needs to be on that line there. And then come off and read off that value there. I make that 60. So it's 60 degrees out of 360 degrees. I can divide top and bottom by 10 and divide by 6. Or alternatively, to get 6, I could just put it into my calculator. Say 60 over 360, and we get 6, okay? Both get the same job. Be very careful with 4 part A. I've only just read it, but I can see that they're trying to trick you, but you've got to be wary here. It says, what is 3 hours and 12 minutes in hours? Well, the mistake that people make, they think it's that, and it's not. It's not 3.12, because 12 minutes is out of a total of 60 minutes in an hour. So 12 out of 60... 12 out of 60 comes to 1/5, which is 0.2. So it's going to be 3 hours, so 3.2. So it's that one there. It then says the first 40 miles of a journey took 1 hour 50 minutes. Now again, be careful with that. It's not 1.15. What's another word for saying 15 minutes past? Quarter past. So that'd be 1.25 hours, because 0.25 is a quarter. The remaining 80 were completed in 2 hours 50 minutes, so that would be 2.25 hours. Okay, so when you're doing speed distance time, they want you to have it all in one unit of time, so either all in hours or all in minutes. Very rarely do we ever work in miles per minute. You tend to work in miles per hour if you think about just like the speed limits and stuff like that. Calculate the average speed in miles per hour of the 120-mile journey. Okay, so let's have a look. So we know that we did them in 2 different bits. So the average speed of the entire journey, well, let's use our speed, distance, time triangle. So speed is equal to distance divided by time. We're calculating speed. So speed would be equal to the distance divided by the time. The total distance is 40 plus 80, which is equal to 120 miles. And the total time, we could do these 2 things separately, I wouldn't bother though, would be 3 hours and 30, 3 hours 30 mins, which is equal to 3.5 hours, which I could have got from adding those 2 things together as well. So then my speed must be equal to 120 divided by 3.5, which goes into a calculator. I've got 240 divided by 7. I can see what they left is that. I don't like these dots above the 2 and the 4, so I'm going to press SD one more time to get rid of them. I'm going to write out the full answer just for safety, always a good tip. If you're unsure, just write out the whole answer and then round if you're not feeling overly confident. So I'm going to make that 34, 0.3 miles per hour to 1 decimal place. If you round anything, it's important that you say what you've rounded it to. Okay, question 5. Have a quick read of that. Okay, a newspaper report claimed that 12% of the world's population is left-handed, twice as many men as women are left-handed, 30% of the world's population are mixed-handed, so I assume that means they can use both. Mixed-handed people prefer to use left hand for some tasks and right hand for other tasks. I'm pretty sure I don't know anyone like that, but it says it here. It is very rare to be ambidextrous. That means that you are equally adept at using your left and right hand. In 2011, Wales had 3,063,000 people. In 2014, it had 3,092,000 people. Calculate the number of left-handed people living in Wales in 2011. Okay, well, pay specific attention to the dates here. So 2011 there, we're working with this number here. Okay, so we're told, so work out the number of left-handed people. So it's 12%, that means 12 out of 100. And then you multiply this by the number of people living in Wales. So 3,630,630, and that goes into a calculator. Other ways to work out percentage, but this will always work on your mobile phone, and you're very likely to have to work out percentages in the real world at some point in your life, so a useful one to know. So 367,560. You'll notice I put a comma in there just to make the number read a bit easier. If you're ever going to do that, it's always 3 back from the decimal point. It then says, what's your assumption? Well, my assumption is that Wales is the same as the rest of the world. So Wales has the same, you call that proportion of left-handed people as the rest of the, or as in the world. Okay, part B says in Wales in 2011, so it's still working with the same number. It has this population, which we're told again, and we're told that 1,559, so 559,000 were women. In 2011, what percentage of the population of Wales were men? Give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. Well, what I might do is I might go and work out what the percentage of women are and take that away from 100%. You could do that number subtracted from this number and then work out that way. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to work out women just purely because I think it's easier. It doesn't really make any difference. So 3,063,000 times by 100. So it's always, not by 1,000, sorry. It's always what you've got divided by what you had, or out of the total, times by 100 to turn into a percentage. So 1,559,123 over 3,063,000, and then times by 100. So that comes to, right, I've missed a 0 on the bottom there. That comes to 50.9 to 1 decimal place. They said about 1 decimal place there, didn't they? 50.9% women. So 100% take away 50.9% is equal to 49.1%. There's ever so slightly more women than men. Okay, it now says, how many mixed-hand people do you think were living in Wales in 2014? So there we go, reading those years. So we're working with a different number this time. So in 2014 we had slightly more people. You must show your work and give your answer correct, and there's 1,000 people. Okay, that's likely to be missed. So make sure you've read that bit. I'm going to highlight it there. There'll be a mark just for doing that out of those two. So we're told that 30% of the world are mixed-handed, so that's 30 out of 100, times by 3092000, which is obviously slightly more. So 30 out of 100 times by 3092123 comes to slightly different answer here. 927,600. So to the nearest thousand, so 92800 to nearest thousand. Okay. Yep, lovely, that's fine. Part D then says, what's part D say? Part D says, a country of 6 million people meets all the claims given in the newspaper report. 8% of the women in this country are left-handed. There are 3 million men, so that must mean for 6 million people, there must be literally a 50-50 split. 3 million women. There are 3 million men living in this country. How many left-handed men would you expect there to be in this country? Well, how many left-handed men would you expect to be in this country? Okay, well, I'm expecting 12% to be left-handed. So 12% of 6 million, so 1, 2, 3, 6 zeros per million, 1, 2, 3, would equal, so let's change that to 12 out of 100. Let's change of to times, and that will actually work out my number there for me. So 12 out of 100, you can use the divisor, and I used it like that a moment ago. 1, 2, 3, comes to 720,000 people expected. Okay, now we know that 8% of the women in the country, 8% of the women in the country are left-handed. So that means 8 out of 100 times by 3 million, because it's just women. So 1, 2, 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3, so that's 6 in total. Let's delete the 12, change it to 8. Let's delete the 6 and change it to 3, so we don't have to put the whole thing. Comes into 240,000 people, or women, not people, because we know it's women this time. So the men must make up the difference between those two. So 720,000 take away 240,000 would come to, I think it's, I don't want to think actually when I've got a calculator. 0, take away 240, 1, 2, 3, comes to, yeah, this is what I thought, 480,000 men. And that has answered the question. Okay, there's other ways around it than that. That's not a way that the marks seem actually show, but I feel that that's probably the easiest way in my own head to do it. Okay, question 6. It says, Alptide is a ski resort. The daily snowfall in January is given in the table below. Calculate an estimate mean for the daily amount of snowfall. Well, the way I like to do this is I add 2 new columns to the table. I always try and merge one in here, and I call that the midpoint. Basically, we're told there are 10 days that it snowed between 0, including 0, but less than 5, not including 5. This one includes 5 because of that dash on the inequality there. That means less than 5. This means, well, effectively greater than or equal to 5. Okay, so 4.9 would go in there, 5 wouldn't go in there because it's not less than 5. 5 would go in here. So the middle, because I don't know how much snowed, I'm going to take the guess, and the best guess for me would be in the middle of those two, so that's 2.5, 7.5, or they're not the same every time though, so what's in the middle of 10 and 20? 15, 25, and what's in the middle of 30 and 50? It's 40. My best advice to use to shade underneath the midpoint column as soon as you've done it, because you don't add that one up. We're going to add up 2 columns, but you'd never add up that column. The other column I make is called midpoint times frequency. There are 10 days where I'm guessing the amount of snowfall on each day was 2.5 centimetres, so that is 25 centimetres in total on those days. The next one, 7.5 times 16. I'm not going to risk doing in my head. that's 120. The next one is 15 times 4, which is 60. The next one I can do in my head as well. 25 times nothing is nothing. And then 40 times 1 is 40. Now we will go and add up this new column. Okay, so 120, add 60, add 40, and I missed the 25 at the top. Comes to a total of 245. And then add up the total number of days. We're already told it's 31 days though, comes to 31. So an estimate of snowfall, so estimate mean, would equal the amount of snowfall in total, so 245, divided by the number of days there were. So divided by 31. So 245 divided by 31 comes to, again, don't like that dot there, so I press it once, and I'll round that to one decimal place, 7.9 to 1 dp centimetres. Okay, part B, it says circle either true or false in the following statements. The table above shows that there was definitely snowfall on each of the 31 days. Well, that's not true because there's 0 days there where it didn't snow at all between 20 and 30. Actually, I don't think that makes any difference at all. No, that's rubbish. That isn't why it's false. The reason why it's false is this says it includes 0 there. So those 10 days, all of those 10 days, it could have snowed absolutely no centimetres at all. So that's why it's false. There were 16 days when the snowfall was less than 10 centimetres. Well, there's 10 days there and 26 there that are less than 10. So yeah, that's false as well. So there's 10 and 16 make 26. So for instance, there were 30 days, sorry, that were less than 20. That's what that's telling me, because less than 20 would include these previous categories. There was only 1 day with snowfall greater than or equal to 20 centimetres. I think that's true, yeah, because this is greater than or equal to 20 here. There's no days there, there's only 1 day there, so yeah, that's true. And then the modal group also contains the median. Well, that requires quite a bit of maths. It's not the easiest thing to do in the world there. The modal group would be this one here, which is 16 because it's got the most frequency. The median would be the middle of 31. So the middle of 31, there's 2 ways to do it. When you've got large data sets, you can just halve it. So we're looking for the 15.5 day, which doesn't really make any sense. When it's smaller numbers, you should add 1 to that number, which is 32, and divide that by 2, which is 16. So we're looking for the 16th day, going from lowest to biggest. So the first 10 days are there, then the next 16 are in there. So yes, it is in there, that's true. Because we've got to 10 days, then 11th day, 12th day, so on. The 16th day, which day we're looking for, is within that category, if you put them going from lowest to biggest. Part C, it says, for the 28 days of February, the mean snowfall was 9 centimetres. On the 1st of February, the snowfall recorded was 63 centimetres. Calculate the mean daily snowfall for the 27-day period from the 2nd of February to the 28th of February. Okay, that's not the nicest thing in the world, but basically what we know is that we had a number of the total amount of snowfall in February. We divided by 28, because there's 28 days in February, and it told me it was 9 centimetres. What I want to do is work out exactly how much snow fell in February. So to do that, I would do 9 times by 28. So x is equal to 9 times 28, which I'm working out there, which is 252 centimetres of snowfall, snow in total. We know on the 1st of February, 63 centimetres fell. So if we do 252, take away the 63, that comes to 189 centimetres for the rest of February. So we do 189 divided by the remaining 27 days, which comes to a total of 7 centimetres. So that 1 day of like loads and loads and loads of snowfall really affected the rest of the mean, just because there's one what we call outlier. Tricky question, not easy, that one. Okay, next question. It says, Bronwyn and Alvaro decide to keep some alpacas on their farm in Pythagoras, which is a Welsh region in Argentina. Alvaro knows that it's possible to keep between 4 and 6 alpacas on each acre of a suitable farmland. They have 13 acres of farmland and they want to keep alpacas. Bronwyn knows that 1 acre is equal to 4,046.86 metres squared and that 1,000 metres squared is equal to 1 hectare. Use this information to advise Bronwyn and Alvaro on the number of alpacas they could keep on their farmland. State any assumption you have made, mush all your working. Okay. So, the first thing that's jumping out to me is that we're told the conversion there, we know they have 13 hectares. And then we're told about acres, aren't we, here as well. So I've not highlighted that green because it's not in hectares. Right, okay, so if we know that 1 hectare equals 10,000 metres squared, then 13 hectares must be equal to 13 times that, which would be 130,000 metres squared. Okay, well, I can cope with that so far. What are we told here? We're told, oh, and also let's think about acres. This said about acres, isn't it? 4 to 6 alpacas on each acre. So we know that they have an area of 13 hectares, which is the equivalent to 130,000 metres squared. I'm now going to convert that into acres because this is all based on acres. So 130,000 metres squared divided by, now it's very important that we don't round this answer till we're finished completely because we'll get a rounding error potentially. Now if we divide that by the metres squared there, it's going to tell us an answer of acres. So 130,000 divided by 4,046.86 comes to 32.12367119 acres. Now, I would continue just using all of that number and using the answer key in my calculator up until I can't. I know it's a pain in the backside, but it's only going to happen a couple of times in the paper at worst, okay? And it's going to give you the most accurate answer. So we're told that you can get, so we've got this many acres, and we know on 1 acre you can get between 4 and 6. So if we're going to be nice, we're going to have a smaller amount of alpacas in the same areas. Think of it like a classroom. The smaller number of people in there, the more space you have, which is a bit nicer. So I'm going to do 32.1236 blah 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 times by 4. So I'm just going to say that answer times by 4 here, and that tells me that I can fit 128.49 blah 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 alpacas on it. Which we'll have to do some rounding in a minute. I can obviously not get 0.49 of an alpaca, so I'd say, well, about 128 then, rounding that to the nearest whole number. Or I could have done the 32, 1236 blah 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 times by 6. So let's go and work out what that is. So that is going to be, I'm going to just put in that previous calculation again to generate that number there, but I could have just written in that number. And then this time I'll times it by 6, which comes to 192.74 blah 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 alpacas. So they can have somewhere between that many alpacas. Now, it's interesting the way that you round it. I'd say that some people would round that to 193 because 7 would round that up, and mathematically, yeah, that's true when we do just working with numbers. But think about it. If I'm saying I can only get 0.74 of an alpaca there, then I can't get the full alpaca on there. So that's another way to think about it. So I'm going to say between, I'm going to say 128 and 192 alpacas. Assumption, my assumption is all ground is suitable for alpacas to inhabit, to actually live on. Because obviously if I had like a really, really big area, but it was like mountainous and they couldn't get certain bits, then they may not be able to get there. Okay, part B says Bronwyn decides to place a cylindrical water container in the small paddock on the farm. The water container has a diameter of 1.4 metres. So it goes the whole way across from this corner to this corner here of 1.4 metres. I might work that out in centimetres as well, because it may be useful for my next bit of maths. It may not be. It says Bronwyn decides to place the centre of the water container so that it is equidistant from the south fence and the east fence. So here's the south fence, here's the east fence. So these two things meet, don't they? So they want me to do an angle bisector of those two things. So if it's equidistant, we'll put this here somewhere, it's going to be on a line that comes here. Okay? So I'm going to bisect that angle there for the same reasons that I just showed with the highlighting. I actually did this on the previous paper as well. So I put a blob where it crosses both lines, compass on each blob, draw an arc again inside there, and then ruler, angle, through there, that line there. Okay, anywhere on that line there is equidistant from the south fence and the east fence. So if I measured this point here, it is 6 centimetres from the east fence, and as you can see, it's 6 centimetres from the south fence. Okay, so it's very important that you understand that an angle bisector everywhere on the line is equidistant to each line, but it's also cut this angle into 2 equal pieces. So I've dealt with the first bit. It then says it's 3 metres from the south fence. Okay. Well, we obviously aren't going to measure that in metres. We're told the scale up here. 2 centimetres is equal to 1 metre. So that means that 3 metres would be 3 times as much, so it must be 6 centimetres. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my compass. That's weird that I chose 6 before, that was just a coincidence. I'm going to open my compass to 6 centimetres and to draw a line that is 6 centimetres from the south fence, I'm going to draw an arc anywhere on the line. Now effectively I want to draw a tangent to that that's parallel with the south fence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the point somewhere else on the line. So I'm going to choose the point from before and draw another one like that. And if I get my ruler drawing a tangent to both those circles there, I will draw a line that is parallel to this line. Okay, a bit sneaky that one there. Where those two lines cross is where we want to go and put the water container. Okay. Show the placement of the water container on the scale diagram of the small water paddock above. Your diagram should include an accurate plan view of the water container. I think I've done that. It says the water container holds 900 litres of water. Now, they're a fan of this in the numeracy papers. They expect you to know this conversion. 1 litre is equal to 1,000 centimetres cubed of water. So 900 litres must be equal to 900,000 centimetres cubed of water. It says calculate the height of the water container in centimetres. So to work out the volume of this thing here, we would do pi r squared h is equal to volume. That's the formula you need to know. It's sort of based on this formula here. Area of the cross section, so circle in this case, times by, so area of the cross section times by the length, and we're just calling it the height. So that's where pi r squared h comes from. Okay? So pi times by, now I'm working in centimetres cubed there, so going back to what I drew before here, I'm going to work with the centimetres purely because that's in centimetres, that's in centimetres. Okay? So the radius of that is not 140, that's the diameter. The radius would be half of that, so 70 squared. And then I don't know what the height is, so I'm going to say times by h is equal to the volume, which I do know, because I've just worked it out from before, is 900,000 centimetres cubed. I don't need to put in centimetres cubed in this bit. If that is times by h, I'm going to take it over to the other side where it's going to divide by the 900,000. So I'm just going to put it all under pi 70 squared, and that will work out the height for me. And that comes to, now again, if in doubt, put the full answer, and then we'll round afterwards. If it doesn't say what to round to and you think, oh, I just don't know what to put, just put the whole answer once and then round, okay? So I'm going to make that 58.5 to 1 decimal place. Okay then, the next question is on exchange rates. It says, a currency widely used in Patagonia is the Argentine peso. Alvaro sells alpaca fleeces from Patagonia. His fleeces are priced in Argentine pesos. Tom lives in Wales and buys a fleece from Alvaro. Tom pays for the fleeces in pounds. Tom's purchases are shown in the table below. So in January he bought 80. The price per fleece was that. They go up in price as we go on. He goes down in orders, then he goes up in orders, and then the exchange rate is going down as well. Now to change these back into pounds, you would divide by that number. So anything divided by itself will tell you what one is. So to change from Argentine pesos to pounds, we need to divide by that number. So the same here, but it's a different number this time. So divide by 15.21, and then similarly here, divide by 14.93. Okay. It then says for each of Tom's 3 purchases, he paid the correct to the nearest penny. So I need to round all of these to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to work out my answer in pounds. How much did Tom pay for these 200 fleeces in pounds? Give your answer to the nearest penny. So let's work out how much it should have cost him in January. Well, he bought 80 fleeces at 19.20, but in Argentine pesos each. So 80 times 19.20 is 1536. I'll just say pesos. And then to turn that into pounds, I need to divide by what the exchange rate was at the time, so 15.47. So divide that by 15.47 comes to £99 and 29 pence to 2 decimal places. Okay, so that's January dealt with. March, he bought less fleeces, he bought 20 and they've gone up in price, so 22.30. Comes to 446 pesos. And then to turn that back into pounds, so divide by the cheaper exchange rate this time, is 15.21. So I make that £29 and 32 pence. And then finally in April, I was right the first time when I put the P. In April, he bought 100 fleeces at 24.50 each. So again, even though that's not a bad calculation to do in your head, it's worth just checking if you have a calculator. So pesos divided by 14.93. That's still retrievable. So that is £164 and 10 pence, because that 9 is going to round that 9 to a 10. Okay, so then the total that he's going to pay would be, and again, show your calculations, don't just have the final answer drop in out of nowhere, because if there is a mistake in here, I could potentially get the final answer regardless. So £99.29 plus £29.32 plus £164.10 comes to £292.71. Okay, so a lot of reading here. Take a moment and read the question, see what it's asking you. So, handmade socks knitted using pure cashmere wool are very expensive to buy. Rowena buys wool in 20 gram balls. Each ball of cashmere wool costs her £1.42. Her sister pays, she pays her sister £8 to knit each pair of socks. 135 grams of cashmere wool is used to knit each pair of socks. Rowena sells 40 pairs of socks, cashmere socks, at £18.95 per pair. What percentage profit, or what is a percentage profit? Give your answer to 2 significant figures. You must surely working. God, there's a lot going on there. Okay. Right. let's start trying to highlight it. So 20-gram balls cost £1.42. Okay. New colour, because something different this time, it's not to do the balls of wool. She pays her sister £8 to knit each pair of socks. And then she sells 40 pairs of socks. Okay. You need, and then because it's still the pair of socks, 135 grams of wool to knit each pair of socks. Okay. Let's try and do some maths around this then. So, 40 times by 135 grams equals, because she's selling 40 pairs of socks, each pair of socks takes up 135 grams, equals 5,400 grams of cashmere needed. Okay, so we can go and work out how many balls of wool she needs to buy. So we now do 5,400 grams divided by the 20 grams for each ball, which would equal 270 balls needed. Okay. What's it going to cost her then? So cost is going to be 270 times by £1.42. So that's the cost of wool. 270 times by £1.42 comes to £383 and 0.4, which would be 0.40 to 2 decimal places. But then she's also paying for labour, isn't she? She pays her sister £8 to knit each pair of socks. So she's going to, I'm going to call that labour. So it's 40 pairs of socks, £8 for each pair. So that's to be 40 times by 8, which is 320. So add those two together, gives a total of £703. £703.40. Okay, total cost. Okay. Now, we know that she's selling 40 pairs of socks for £18.95 per pair. So, money made would be £18.95 times by 40. £758. She didn't make that much money. 758. So then to work out the profit, so your percentage increase decrease formula is the difference divided by the original times by 100. Okay, so I need to go and work out the difference of those two things. That's going to be 758. Take away £703.40 divided by what it originally cost her, which is the same as that number there, so 703.40, and then times by 100. So 758, take away 703.40, take away 7 over 703.40 times by 100, which comes to, I wouldn't mind getting this answer down somewhere, 7.76229 blah blah blah, to two significant figures then would be, first significant figure second, it's going to be 7.8, which is also to one decimal place, but more importantly it's two significant figures as it states there. Okay, question 9. Bethan has a plan of her rectangular lawn. She has labelled A, B, C, D. Okay, A, B, C, D. So there's my rectangular lawn. She wants to cut out a triangular flower bed of her lawn labelled GHD. GHD. Bethan decides that A to G to G to D should be 1 to 2. So basically, whatever A to G is, that needs to be twice as big. And that DH should be equal to CH. So those two things should be equal. So I'm going to put a dash there and a dash there, because mathematically that to me would tell me they're the same. It says calculate the length of GH. Well, if these two things are the same, I can split this. In half. So 6.8 divided by 2 is equal to 3.4 meters. So I know that this is 3.4 meters, and I know this is 3.4 meters. For this one here, whatever one is, that's twice as big. Well, that's just sharing in ratio. So we want to do 4.8 meters shared between 1 to 2. So the way that we do that is we add the parts of the ratio together. So 1 add 2 is 3. 4.8 divided by 3 gives you 1.6 meters. That's for one part. So then to put it back into the ratio of 1 to 2, you would do 1 times by 1.6, and then that would be 2 times 1.6, so that's 1.6, and that's 3.2, and those two there should add up to 4.8, which if you check, they do. Okay, so that is equal to 1.6 meters. You need to be careful there because that looks like a recurring dot. And this is 3.2 meters. As you can see, it is twice as big. Okay. Calculate the length of G to H. So this one here, we've got a right angle there because this is a rectangular lawn. I've got two sides. I want to find a missing side. That's telling me to use Pythagoras. So it's going to be a squared plus b squared equals, I tend to use h squared, but you may know it as c squared. So it's going to be 3.2 squared plus 3.4 squared. Doesn't matter which way around you do that. Equals h squared. I'm going to actually add those two things together now. So 3.2 squared plus 3.4 squared comes to 21.8. To work out h, I need to square root 21.8, and then h equals the square root of that answer. So I'm going to say it's 4.67. I've already said 6 now, so I'll say 67 centimeters, but I've rounded to 2 decimal places. Okay, but no problem doing that to 1 decimal place, unless it states otherwise in the question, which it doesn't. It then says the flower bed GHD is to have a flexible edging strip placed around the perimeter. Okay, so GHD, where is it? G to H to D. So we're looking for the perimeter of this would be the green highlighted bit. So we've just worked this out as 4.67 meters. So to work out the perimeter, I need to go and add all those together. So I've not even read any more into the question yet. I might as well go and do that because they told me about perimeter. So 3.2 plus 3.4 plus 4.67. That goes into a calculator. 4.67 plus 3.4. So working backwards through it, doesn't matter which way, of course, when you add. Comes to 11.27 meters. Okay. The edging strip costs £3.50 per metre. So it's just well I kept it in metres because that's in metres. And can only be bought in complete strips. Okay, so if we want like 11.9, we need 11 and a bit, so we need it. Even if it's 11.1, we need 11 and a bit. Okay. And they can only be bought in complete metre strips. So I need 11 and a bit, therefore I need 12 metres. So I need 12 metres of edging. Okay, so I now want to do, it says how much will the edging strip cost Bethan? I say I, that should say really, that should say Bethan. So Bethan needs that much. So 12 times by £3.50 will tell me the cost. £42. And it says what length of strip will be left over? Give your answer in centimeters. Okay, so that's going to be 12 meters. Take away 11.27 meters, which comes out as 0.73 meters. And then to change meters in centimeters, you would times by 100. So the cost is 42 quid, and there's 73 centimetres left over. And that was the last question.